A very good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain.
Well, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Kalu.
I missed that word. Am I back? Good morning and welcome.
Yes, yes. With a big smile, we welcome you. I mean, why not? Especially if you saw the match yesterday. It had every reason to put a big smile from ear to ear on every Nigerian's face. What a match. I think sometimes it's even good to lower your expectations these days. Sometimes you never know.
Are you saying that's what you did?
Yeah, I wasn't overtly...
We need to be honest here.
I mean, I wasn't overtly anticipating victory. And then the way they played, we haven't
I will
seen
not lie, guys.
in a while.
You know, that expectation, I don't know how to, what's the word now, lower it. Why?
All in, all out.
Always on the maximum?
Why? I am emotionally connected to the Super Eagles. So, and anything competitive like that, believe me, I do not want to raise my blood pressure any higher. So I just listen to, it's a goal, then watch the replay. And then maybe after the match, I can now either watch the match or watch the highlights. Otherwise, guys, I don't even know if I'll be here this morning.
I have to be honest with you.
It's one of the things that I saw. Of course, we're going to be talking about it later. But one of the things that I saw that really stood out for me is the energy. It was like the guys, at least from the highlights I allowed myself to see. It was like they dominated the match.
Well, I need to be honest with you, and as Chamberlain said, full disclosure, I was approaching that match thinking, you know what, even if we get like 2-1, lose by 2-1, we're good enough, at least we scored a goal. And I tried to not watch the match until about 20 minutes into the game, and I'm like, you know what, let me watch this match and just brave up. And I put off my meal, because I'm like, I don't want to be eating and then be disappointed at the same time. And so it was a lot of emotions going into that match. But did you see my boys? Have you seen my tie?
Which are the boys?
My boys, the Super Eagles. Success has many fathers, right?
Dear.
You know how it works.
There
but
you go.
I need to be honest with you. I'm sorry for lowering my expectations, and I need to say this loud and clear. Perhaps I didn't want to get burnt, I mean, the only team I support is the Super Eagles.
Understandably.
Yeah.
But, this only goes to tell you how much capital a government can make from football. I'm not talking about political capital now. I'm talking about the amount of energy that is in this country with young people, what you can do, local government to local governments across the country. It is huge. If you can just imagine it, then that's how much you can achieve. But
can I bust your bubble, first of all, by saying,
come on. Too early to bust Mon's bubble.
I'm sorry, but let's just recognize, in business you do some, cost analysis and all. Yeah. How much have we lost by not paying attention?
You don't want to quantify that.
Exactly.
Because it'll break your heart.
Let's look forward.
It will break your heart.
Let's look forward. What are the potential? But first of all, in tangible resources and in intangible resources. Direct profits, indirect profits. What are the things? What are the
now look,
for us?
Imagine this, to simplify this, maybe make it as simple as possible if that can pass. Remember when you talk about the ICC shooting stars when they're playing and the stadium is full?
Yeah.
Or is it an El Kanemi Warriors those days when they're playing and the stadium is full? So imagine those kind of stadia when people are watching on a weekly basis. So imagine how many years has gone by that has not been replicated.
Yesterday,
so you can imagine the fees, what people have been paying, that we've not been.
Yesterday's match. Yesterday's match. One of the clips I saw showed people before the match trying to get into the stadium. It is a match that held in Cameroon. Guess what jersey most of the people who wanted to watch the match were wearing?
Which one?
That famous Super Eagles jersey.
Oh, right.
That's the one most of the, at least take a good look, you could see the number of people that wanted to watch, that match wearing Nigerian. And then the Cameroons came there. In fact, there was a guy who came, one guy who is a Cameroonian. Why are you watching this match? Says Super Eagles is my team. Why? They are my neighbors.
Oh, I see. And as you mentioned, really, the value chain in football
is massive.
Is huge. I mean, just jerseys alone,
massive.
Selling jerseys alone can actually sort you out as a team. And I should say that, honestly, I've been monitoring the MPFL of late, and I think that it's gradually returning. And you reference ICC shooting stars. I mean, of recent, we've seen a lot of people in Oyo State actually tripping out ever since that renovation, that pitch renovation. Well, yeah, there were a lot of controversies around that, but I think we're beginning to get to that stage, and this is a time, as you said, to pay attention. It was wordplay, really. We lose a lot by not paying attention.
Yeah.
But that's actually true. We should start paying attention.
And speaking about paying attention, we highlight some of these things on a regular basis, and this is an unfortunate one because the building that was housing the Salvation Church in Delta that collapsed with, they say, about 50 children trapped and several others. Again, it raises a lot of questions about when we talk about integrity tests, authorities who are supposed to do certain things just being up to standard. And when you see this kind of images, I know you ask yourself, look, when will these kind of things even stop? I'm not talking about, because this or many of these kind of scenarios are clearly avoidable. Because if certain people had done what they were supposed to do, I'm not sure that you see this. But now, we're talking about rescue efforts.
Oh, yes. Well, thankfully, a few people have been rescued. We'll still get to hear from, some of the representatives of government that were there. But I should say that, sadly, this happened, it was said to have happened during the match, about 5:55 p.m. Yeah. So, while a lot of Nigerians were rejoicing, sort of. This sad one happened. And looking at the images, I saw some sort of alteration actually taking place on that building. I saw some blocks being added. So I do not know if that's responsible, but hey, we're still trying to recover from what happened in Lagos. By the way, we're still expecting the white paper from that collapsed building report. You remember that the government raised a committee to look into that. So I just wonder if we can get a handle on this one, because it's a building almost everyone has to actually go into a building at least twice a day. If it's not your office, it's your home, it's your place of business. So imagine if we don't actually pay attention to that all-important structure of buildings.
It's, I don't even know what to say now. One of the questions that was going on in my head is it a bungalow? Is it a story building? What are they?
It looks like a story building.
Clearly, from what we can see there, it looks like a story building. And if something is being added to it, I don't even know where to begin now. It would seem like we're not, as we said earlier, paying attention to certain important, critical things, or maybe taking, some things for granted. It's sad, that this kind of thing will happen. Well, as Kalu said, we'll probably listen to the government official who is there saying that some rescue has been made. Some are saying that some,
It's the same thing they'll tell us.
But, at the end of the day, guys, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, it falls to us. At the end of the day, it falls to us as a people to do the proper thing, the necessary thing. Well, it's a church. And I would assume that at least those who know would know that there are certain principles that your faith cannot overrun. Let's be clear, but there are certain principles of God that your faith cannot overrun. So if there are some things that God inspired some professionals to put in place as principles. You cannot, for instance, say you want a story building and you don't want to put a deck in simply because of your faith.
This is what we do to ourselves when we place certain things above the values, professionalism, the right people in the right places. It comes back to bite us behind. Because what capacity do states even have to handle these things? Because a lot of the times, yes, we look to the federal government to do certain things, but look at all of the states. What capacity do they have to manage almost anything?
It's a lot, Chairman. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, gentlemen. I was just about to say, can we go back to the first topic? I'm trying not to get depressed this morning.
I know, right?
And certainly, the first topic was certainly more uplifting and has a lot more energy than the second one. But if I must, I think it's important to say that when we see something happen in one state, when the Lagos state government, for instance, comes down, I don't want to say comes down hard, but it says it's looking into building collapse in its own state, owing to a building that has gone down and the number of people who have lost their lives as a result of that. And I think in Lagos we also saw a few more even after the Ikoyi building collapse while we wait for the investigation, as Kayode did highlight. I think that it should be a cue to other states to also say, what have we put in place in our own state? So, for instance, if you see a fire in another state, maybe in a market in another state, other state governments, apart from condoling with the state governor or government affected, should also ask themselves, if this were to happen in my state, what have we, or can this happen in my state? If it can, what measures have we put in place to ensure that we reduce the incidents, or that we minimize, or that should such a thing occur, like we saw yesterday, we have emergency services available to be able to look after the situation. These are questions I'm hoping will come up in their, not just peer review, but even as they watch the news. These are questions that I'm hoping that they ask themselves, you know, when they watch. So, as this has occurred now, while we wait for the Delta State government to tell us what measures they're going to take here, it is not clear. I don't know if we have the full statistics of how many people were caught under that building. I know that when people were brought out of the building yesterday, they were not certain in what condition they were brought out, if they were alive or dead. While we wait for a clear update on what transpired at the Salvation Church, I want to believe that they will also be coming up with clear guidelines to avert this. And that other state governments are taking a cue and saying, if this could happen here, what do we have in place to inspect buildings, to ensure that when buildings are going up, you know, they do not come down all of a sudden, because there's a certain level of trust involved, as Kai also did say. When you go into a building, you want to have the confidence that all of a sudden this building will not come down on your head. That confidence needs to be put back in people. I know how many times I'm going out and I'm looking around, you know, for instance, at NEPA poles, and I'm telling myself, one has to be very conscious. It's just that you can never be too careful. But we have entrusted our lives in the hands of our government. And I think that they need to show that they are capable on top of the job. This is 2022 now. A lot of people will be, you know, vying and saying, yes, give us this job, we can look after you. These are the ways you show the people that you're willing and able to look after them. So let us wait for the Delta State government. But in the meantime, let us also hope that other state governments are taking a cue and not waiting for buildings to come down before we finally get a reaction. Gentlemen.
Yeah, yes, indeed. We'll look to that and see, and hopefully things turn out right at the end of the day. All right, that said, let's take a look at some of the dailies now. We're going to start with Vanguard newspaper. You'll see why. Take a look at the front page today. Nigeria 1, Egypt 0. It almost looked like the back and front page at the same time. No problem. That sounds okay. Nobody's complaining.
That's the energy we want, right?
Yeah. So you see, Super Eagles off to flying start. Iheanacho fires Super Eagles to victory. Dominant Eagles cage Salah. So it's not just Nigeria 1, Eagles 0. No. There's more to that Nigeria 1, Egypt 0. When you watch that match and you see the package, you see everything concerning that match. Oh, it was, to say the least,
I think
lovely.
Part of what you said about being more than 1-0 is right on the back page.
Okay, I'll come to that soon. But yeah, look, yes, I know it's one match, but come on, celebrate what we want.
Yes, so it's our celebration anyway.
Who cares? Yeah, it's one game at a time. If that was our final, we won that one. So bring the next final, no problem. Well, look at what you see beneath that one as well. APC convention, crisis festers as 3 northern governors hijack party. Courts will be running our party except, as ascribed to PGF, you might want to see what he means by that, PGF DG. Stakeholders chart way forward. Mustafa Sani Musa urged calm. Osinbajo better suited for presidency. Party must adopt direct primary at the year. So all of that packed right there for you on that front page today. And you see, excuse me, you see Mr. and Mrs. as well. So I'll take it today. Yeah. Mrs. just served Mr. food. Mr. is on the table as though as if he was about to eat. Mrs. says, in order to reduce your patronage of pepper soup joints, I prepared pepper soup with 5 types of fish, yet you're not satisfied. What kind of fish do you even eat at that joint? The tadpoles in mini skirts that serve beer, or the fat tilapia that owns the place? Not tilapia, tilapia. So it looks as if Mr. was just mouth wide open. So I think he must have been thinking, if I say Pim,
whatever you say will be used against you. Even your silence will be used against you. So just pray.
Maybe what it is, look, the food is getting cold, better eat it. So, oh, look at the back page. Yeah, dominant Eagles shoot down Salah's Pharaoh. So, yeah, what a fantastic one. It's equally good to see on the back page Dr. Tataro saying it's a miracle Osimhen is able to play again. So, very, very
More
good
miracles
indeed.
is coming.
Yeah, we'll talk about this match later, so don't worry. Just hold on, we will. But that's Vanguard this morning.
We'll take a look at New Telegraph with a big one. APC presidential ticket. I'll match Tinubu grit for grit. It's not me saying that. That's coming from Kalu. Says Southeast ripe for presidency. Umahi informs Buhari of ambition. Tinubu made mistake of merging ACN, CPC, others. Yakasai says Southwest Group lost autonomy and bargaining chip. It's a lot, really. Pages 3, 4, and 8 of the New Telegraph. And I'm sure you're wondering, are the elections next month already? No, actually, it's next year.
We haven't even started.
We haven't even started scratching the surface, right? So, yeah, we're in the season right now. But as we always say, don't get distracted. We'll pay attention to what really matters, right? The FCTA begins no vaccination, no access to offices. That's a new one, the latest addition to the no card, no access. A couple of other stories, but as you'll expect, the AFCON Super Eagles match made its way to the front page. Dominant Eagles stun Egypt. Win excites Gbajabia Mila, Senate Chief Whip, others. And recall, I was saying that, do we have a Moses? And I forgot that we actually have Moses Simon. You remember we were playing against the Pharaohs of Egypt, so we needed a Moses. So we have Musa one, and we have Moses Simon. So hey, two Moses.
Moses raised to power 2.
That's a New Telegraph this morning.
Nice.
Well, the Guardian newspaper, 2023, like Tinubu, Umahi informs President, beg your pardon, Umahi informs Buhari of interest in presidency. Lead of the Guardian this morning, a number of writers suggest political solution to Southeast insecurity, warns Ohaneze to stay off politics. Kalu, I'll match Tinubu great for APC presidential ticket. Renews call for postponement of APC national convention. Osinbajo not threatened by Tinubu's declaration, says support group. National convention, courts may run affairs of APC, stakeholders warn. And this one, APC poses no threat to PDP in 2023, Wike boasts.
Everybody wants to match each other, grit for grit.
Is Ohanese socio-cultural or socio-political? Or socio-cultural political?
Maybe, as Chamberlain often says, the devil is in the details.
I see you escaped that one. Brilliant.
Well, that picture, there's a story to the picture you see on the front page of late Chief Shonekon. National flag to fly at half-mast as Nigerians pay tributes to Shonekon. That story is on page 4 of the paper this morning. May his soul rest in peace. Lost opportunities as Eagles begin on winning note, beat Pharaohs 1-0. It's interesting that the Pharaohs of Egypt is not an animal's name. Like, Eagles of Nigeria.
Taken already.
Lion of is taken.
I think a lot of indomitable lions.
One of
leopards.
antelope.
I think antelope taken.
Is also taken.
Yeah. But we don't have mouse. We don't have the rats and the rest. You wouldn't want to use that.
No, we don't have those.
Kaidi, you're always so mischievous. Well, I don't know, is that gazelles? Maybe that will be, I don't know, something very elegant, very beautiful to look at. But it's about politics on the front page of Daily Trust this morning. 2023, rumpus in APC over zoning as Umahi, Kalu join race. Northern aspirants strategize. Ebonyi governor in Villa seeks Buhari's blessing. I think the idea is that, you know, the Villa is open to all. All of us will go for our blessings. Let's look at what happens. So page 5, read there. I'll tackle Tinubu, that's from ex-Abia governor. Fayemi will speak at appropriate time, that's attributed to his CPS. And look at the second big story. National flag flies at half-mast as Shonikon dies at 85. Buhari, IBB, Jonathan Atiku mourn. He was head of state at a difficult time. That's from Tinubu. Death, a colossal loss, says Abiodun. It's a page 6 read for you. You also have a few more stories here. Revenue loss, Buhari direct Amechi to conclude boat contract. It's on the front page. Okadas return to Kano streets as Keke riders strike enters day 2. Yes, they had this for you yesterday, telling you that they were losing about 300 million naira per day because Keke riders were off the roads. But it looks like their strike is finally in day 2, is going for longer than planned, it was saying. But Okadas are back to fill the gap. Look at this, 2023 mixed reactions trail Kwankwanso's dismissal of zoning. And they also have a story on AFCON. I would have been surprised if it wasn't on their front page. Iheanacho on target as Nigeria defeats Egypt in group opener. Talking about Moses Simon yesterday, I understand that he was the... he was really the Moses, really. He really gave the Egyptians a tough time. A real tough time on the pitch yesterday. But it was good to see. I understand one of the bookmakers, you know, named him man of the match and was surprised when Iheanacho was named. But seeing Iheanacho's goal, that goal, we understand, deserved goal of the match as well. It was the only goal, but I mean, it would have been goal of the tournament. We'll wait and see what we'll make of it. How many more goals and how many more spectacular goals, not just ordinary goals, spectacular goals will be scored in that fashion. But page 47 will give you the details just in case you missed the match yesterday, what you missed with that, you know, who did what. Let's leave it there for Daily Trust newspapers.
Okay, maybe in order to settle the tussle, we'll make it men of the match. Okay, Moses and Iheanacho, both of you take it. You're men of the match for now. So everybody just be happy with that because they did play good, but the team was really good. So can't wait to talk about that. But look at Daily Independent next. They are equally focusing on some political headlines. So there you go. The theme for them, 2023 elections. APC presidential battle revs up as Governor Umahi joins race. I will join the fray if ticket is zoned to Southeast, says Oji Kalu. And then you see beneath that lead story, also about 2023 presidency, why Tinubu's declaration won't stop Osinbajo VP aid. So you're hearing it from most different quarters now. And the writer there says, no aspirant is better placed to succeed Buhari than Osinbajo, ascribed to supporters, as the paper reports today. And then I just add this. Those enforcing sit at home are criminals, ascribed to IPOB. So there you go. Make of that what you will. That's Daily Independent today.
Well, this one is coming directly from the Nigerian News Direct front page. 2023 election, more presidential aspirants emerge for APC. Replicate same feat as governor at federal level. Umahi and Yaya Bello support group says Nigerian youths will only reckon with zoning by age, not region. Okay, that's new. It's a page 3 read. A couple of other stories on front page, but let's leave it there for the Nigerian News Direct.
Okay. The Daily Times newspaper has this one. The Daily Times is focusing more on the economy this morning. Nigeria's economy to grow by 2.5% in 2022, says World Bank, attributes the rebound to higher oil prices, accelerated growth in telecom and financial services. That story continues on the inside pages. The question anybody will want to ask straight away is, how does this play on the common man, as we say? Right above the nameplate, Ernest Chineko, head of interim national government, dies at 85. Buhari, Jonathan IBB mourn. FG orders national flag to fly at half-mast. That's a number of other stories you'll find on the front page of the Daily Times today.
Okay, well, you can just take a look at the Tribune because we're out of time. It says how PDP will decide its presidential ticket, ascribed to Wiki. So you might just pick up that and see as well. So that is it with a look at some of the dailies here this morning. There's a lot to talk about with football, but, well, we'll start on a political note. Just pardon us. But give us a moment. We will be back.
Told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely and go to all the leaders, and that we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow. Let me also add that as the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, that I support a political solution to our insecurity problems in the Southeast. And of course, I mentioned it to Mr. President. And so I believe strongly that Southeast, that proposing for political solution should be able to engage the federal government. After all, there's always what is called out-of-court settlement. But it's for our people and, our brother Kalu to be willing, for us to truly engage so that we can find true peace in our region. Because the activities there, have destroyed a lot of the economy of Southeast. A lot of lives have been lost. And when we were shouting it that it wasn't going to benefit, the big agitation shouldn't have gone that, way it did. Today, the matter has gone beyond them.
I do not see Tinubu's aspiration having any effect on the president of Nigeria coming from Igbo area. It has no effect because we are talking base of what Nigeria should be. We are talking base of what people should believe. Obasanjo has been president for 8 years. Osinbajo is doing 8 years as vice president. And no Igbo man since independent has been democratically elected president. So it's always good to think of what is reasonable and what will be more sellable. That thing is almost like dead on arrival because it's not going to work. I'm the most prepared presidential candidate in Nigeria, anywhere. I'm capable health-wise, I'm capable as a person, I'm capable in my pocket, I'm capable to face anybody. But the party is supreme. I only wait for APC as a party. It's not taking anybody. I'm used to Raforosu fight. It's a fight which anybody can do. You see, for me, contesting for president is not the issue. The issue is who is going to lead the country into economic miracle. Who is going to lead the country into turning around. I'm not against Tinubu. If it's on his area and the party says he should go, well, the party is supreme because I'm only waiting for the party.
Well, Mr. Essien Victor joins us. He has been a member of several committees, Congress committees within the APC. He's a legal practitioner as well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Well,
good morning.
Yeah, I mean, as it is at the moment, just development, just happening quick and fast within your party. Different headlines as well, just giving indications as to, well, when they say may your road be rocky, this may just be one of those examples. Well, yes, you've been in those committees, certain things have been eventually resolved in certain ways, but this particular one, when people say it's peculiar and could be very, very tricky, could make or mar, do you agree with them?
First of all, I'd like to just correct. My name is S.Eagles Vincent, not Victor. Thank you, Chamberlain. We are in a peculiar situation within our party, and it's to be expected because we're the ruling party. Stakes are high, and there are a lot of political gladiators. And so this is, I'll just say, it's part of the normal things that you'd expect in a political environment in the ruling party, and where there are a lot of interest, competing interests. So I really don't think that it's something that was not expected. It's something that was expected. So I believe that the party has the capacity, the inbuilt capacity to handle this, and we have the leadership to resolve, to place all these competing interests and ensure that the interest of the party overrides. And we are a party that are committed to delivering good leadership. And so far, we've done that in the term that we've been in power. So I think we will continue to do this. So I'm confident that we'll resolve the issues that will arise from the competing interests that we're seeing play out right.
But, yeah, I mean, there's none of your members that we've spoken to that haven't expressed the same kind of confidence in resolving these kind of matters. But they were equally confident before they went into different state congresses, and some of them ended up not even holding because different groups and different factions just held their ground, never wanted to shift grounds, and we saw the way that turned out. So this optimism, as optimistic as you are, don't you think there's a little bit papering over cracks, as it were?
No, it's not. It's not. Chamberlain, it's not. We have 36 states, and we've had congresses in 34 states with the FCT. So, I mean, I guess just 2 states didn't have the congresses. That's Zamfara and Anambra. And you realize that you also have to understand that besides the political interest, we had peculiar security situations in those 2 states. So I think with regards to different competing groups and so-called parallel congresses, it's something that we really have to understand, because as far as I'm concerned, we've had congresses in 34 states and the FCT. So we've managed obviously, like I said, in any ruling party, the stakes are usually higher, and this is what we expect to play out in a party like the APC. But I think, and I'm confident that we have the capacity to resolve this crisis. We have a reconciliation committee headed by Senator Adamu, and they're doing the work. They've gone around. They're going to submit their report, and I'm sure that most of these crises would have been addressed, and where we need to make some modifications or the party needs to ensure that some additional processes that are put in place, I think that will be done. We have the capacity, we have leadership to do this.
Well, doing the right thing, not just getting it done, but doing it timeously will perhaps be an issue as well. Because if you reference what the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Salihu Mo Lukman, said when he delivered a lecture yesterday, he said that if APC does not do what it needs to do, the courts may run the affairs of the party. And I listed a number of key offices of the party that should be critically assessed in order to get the right people to fit into those things. But so on the one hand, we have the issue of stakeholders. On the other hand, we have what you call interests. Those things sometimes conflict.
Basically, I think what the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum has been insisting on is that we should have the convention, and I think that's going to happen. Everything points to the fact that the CEPC, which is the Convention Planning Committee, has already declared that. I mean, Governor Buni, Maimela Buni, has said that the convention is holding, and all the arrangements were that the convention will hold in February. I think that by the time we have the convention, most of the problems that we think are looking so unsurmountable will be addressed. That's why I agree with him that we need to move to that convention. And the president has already given that indication that that's going to happen. The leader of the party as well spoke recently. So I think that once we get to the convention, most of those things will be addressed. Don't forget that the convention is actually, by the party constitution, that's the highest organ of the party. So I agree with those who say that we should have that convention.
Don't you think some things should actually be addressed before that convention happens? Because there are those who are wondering, wait a minute, there are some decisions that usually precede such critical, projects as the convention. Approaching the convention with such rocky issues going on, I think that's perhaps one of the reasons the president himself said recently that if the APC does not get its house in order, it's leaving an opening for the opposition to come in. So in approaching that family meeting of a convention, didn't you see a need for the critical stakeholders to have certain conversations among themselves and go into that meeting with a united voice as opposed to going in as rocky as it is now?
Yeah, those meetings are going on. The governors met on Sunday. Those are critical stakeholders of the party. There can't be anybody more critical than the governors. And some of these things, you won't hear the outcome of some of these deliberations. I think a lot of strategic meetings are going on right now. And it doesn't have to be on the pages of the newspapers. Some of these things are delicate and intricate. Like you say, a lot of interests are involved. So these meetings are already ongoing. I know about that. And the outcome, and since we all have the interest of the party at heart, then we have to ensure that these negotiations are managed and all the interests are traded off. That's going on. But I still think that where we've come to the point that whatever happens, we need to have the convention, and everything is not going to be resolved anyway. There are some issues that we'll carry there. And whatever happens, let's have the outcome, because pushing this forward, kicking the can down the road all the time is not going to solve it. So I think that we need to do the best we can to resolve. Already, like I said, the reconciliation committee is out there. We expect that they'll turn in their report, the work that they've done. We should see the outcome of that. And then let's just fix a date and address these issues. That's what I'm concerned about. Because I think that once we have the convention coming to in place, whatever, because that's an organ that has the final say really in the party. Once that is, whatever we do right now, whatever intricate negotiations are going on, there's a stamp that comes with that. Then we can start to build. And all these crises and trade-offs will continue even after that. You know, politics is a never-ending game. It's going to go on. So I think that we've come to the point that everything should be on the table, and we should fix a time and a cutoff point or limit. I think that's what actually the president was trying to say, that we should put our acts together, and that's been done. I'm confident.
You know, putting those issues on the table presupposes that table is one that is standing on all its four legs, strong and, you know, very well placed. And you know that if those issues are not sorted, then that table will either wobble or just collapse altogether. Your party is racing against time to ensure that this convention is conducted and, of course, build up to the 2023 elections. But just to be clear, you talked about those, you know, parallel congresses, those crises, and the rest. And you said it's an issue that you have to understand. Those were your words. So I just want to know, the meetings that are going on right now, how well have you been able to identify what is at play here? Because lots of states, Kano, Ogun, Kwara, Osun, Enugu, and I can go on, still have those parallel arrangements. So what exactly is the issue at play here? Because if you don't identify it, on the one hand, you can't proffer a solution and you can't move forward. So have you been able to identify what's at play here across those states?
When you say parallel, you have to be careful, because like I always keep saying that whenever all the congresses as ordered by the organs of the party, which is, for instance, the CEPC. And usually, congresses of parties have to be monitored by INEC. And so when they say parallel, I say, did INEC go to 2 congresses? So clearly, INEC went to 1 congress. But however, like I said, there are other competing interests that feel that the congress that held didn't take care of their interests, and that's what the reconciliation committee is doing. In the case of Kalu, it's peculiar because we have a court judgment. And so once the court rules that this is the executive that must be recognized, and that's what it is. But
all right, we'll try to get Mr. St. Vincent back. It was hitting the point, actually, especially because we need to understand which of those states have actually been decided properly, either by the courts or by the party, such that we know which of the state congresses was actually the legal one. But this conversation is even bigger.
And don't forget, because before the convention, all of these persons had not gone to tell the president they were going to run if they had had the convention earlier. But now, if it's going to hold in February, and then these declarations have happened, and it may not be the last that we're hearing. So what happens? How are they going to manage and juggle all of these things? I guess let's head to Abuja and see if we could get some answers. Mark, right?
Indeed, Chamberlain, we do have with us Ismail Ahmed, who is a national youth leader of the All Progressives Congress. You're welcome to Abuja studios.
Thank you. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. It's very easy to forget that we're in a new year. I mean, it's starting with a big bang, and it would seem that the politicians are already running, as it were. You heard some of the questions raised by my colleagues already. You've seen that happening in the polity within the last few, let's say, 48 hours, and the reactions we've seen following the intention of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, let's say, declaration or intention to run for president. But that visit to the president was highly significant, and it seems to be causing rumbles within your party. Can you tell us how it has been received, You're a member of the caretaker committee and you're also national youth leader. How has it been received from the places where you wield influence?
Well, the party does not sit down and discuss aspirations of candidates at this point in time. What we are focused on is on the forthcoming convention of the party. And, you know, individual members of the party can decide to express their interest, either by telling the president or any other person within the party cycle. But there has not been any official communication to the party that there is a significant interest by any of the individuals, so it's not something that the party sits down and discuss it. But of course, you know, this most of the none of this is really a surprise, because a lot of people have been talking about most of these individuals coming out to express their aspirations one way or another, so it's not much of a surprise.
It is true. I mean, you've spoken from the party perspective now, but you must acknowledge that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is no ordinary individual within your party.
No, absolutely not.
Within your party, he's called the national leader. So what happens when the national leader says he wants to run for president?
Like I said, it's not a surprise. It's not something that surprises me in particular. I don't know about other people, but you know, he is, like I said, it's not, as a party we are focused on the forthcoming national convention. He and any other person who is a bona fide member of the party has the right to express their interest and aspirations. What he just said, from what I have seen on TV, is that he has informed the president of his intention to run, and he's consulting again. And I think Governor Umahi did the same thing yesterday, and I think another person I was told, I don't know who that was. But yeah, so you're right. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, one of the leading members of this party, founding father of this party, great contributor in many ways to where we are today. You know, so yeah, I guess it's a big deal to a lot of people.
Not you.
No, certainly with me as well. It's a big deal. He's a major pillar in this party.
Does that affect how the preparations for the convention will now go?
I don't think so. It has nothing to do with that. This is his aspiration. We'll still do our work of preparing for the convention. It has nothing to do with that.
But so far, so good. A lot of people see problems ahead. As a result of his declaration, we saw the immediate visit of the governor of Ebonyi State. There are those who have also said, no, this is going to throw up issues about zoning, even though your party doesn't exactly have anything cast in stone with regards to zoning. But it looks like there is a certain expectation that, you know, rotation will be adhered to. The southeastern flank of your party has been saying that it should come to the southeast. And not just within your party, even nationally. The PDP too is also looking at that. They're looking at the north, they're looking at the southeast. I do not know how this is going to affect how it is that you zone, because I imagine that that would also come to play even though nothing is cast in stone.
Like I said, as a party leader, I'm just focused on the convention. At some point, I think the party will decide where it wants to zone certain offices. But that would be a decision of the leadership and the stakeholders of the party in its entirety. It's not, one person cannot sit down, one organ cannot sit down and decide that, hey, we are going to go this way. But of course, there's a general belief within the party structure or within the rank and file of the party that, you know, for example, the presidency should go to the south. It has been in the north for 8 years. It's a general belief that that should happen, which I personally subscribe to, by the way.
You think that will happen then?
I don't know. I don't know yet, but you know, the leaders will sit down at the appropriate time and take the decision that is appropriate and the best decision for the party and the country.
Well, there's talk around how it's going to be very difficult now to put a convention together. Are you experiencing any difficulty?
No, absolutely not.
Bear in mind that, you know, your party moved the convention from December was the time it was said to, you know, there were talks that it was going to hold in December. It didn't happen. And now we understand that February, which is the new month picked, is also not certain as well.
Well, who said that?
You haven't seen stories to that effect?
No, but I'm saying these are just rumors. We're going to have our convention next month, God willing.
How set are you? How prepared are you?
We are prepared.
What storms do you foresee?
Well, the normal hiccups of a transition of a transition convention. Nothing more than that. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Are you
just a lot of people with a lot of aspirations who either aspiring for offices in the party, offices in during the elections. Not sure what is going to happen. How are they going to make sure that they get the structure? That's a lot of mentality. People have a lot of mentality with structures. Just basic things that happen in every political party, but nothing out of the ordinary that we cannot do.
Well, it does look like it's going to be very intense in your party if the billboards we see around Abuja are anything to go by. So far, so good. We've seen a few contenders take up billboards here at strategic points within the city. I'm sure you cannot say you haven't seen them.
No, but that's fun. We love it. That's advertising the party. That shows you that the party is vibrant, that a lot of people want to be part of the leadership of the party. It makes us happy.
How do you intend to manage these ambitions?
Well, it's not our job to manage ambitions of people. Our job is to provide a level playing field for people to contest and be able to realize their aspirations. And then it's for the party members to decide who they want, to represent them at certain political offices. That's it. And that's the beauty of democracy. It is not for us to say that we're going to manage individual ambitions for people. That's not our job.
Will every office be contested for?
I don't know yet. I don't know. You talked about billboards in parts of Abuja of people who are running for chairman. I've seen them. I haven't seen those of other positions yet, but I'm sure there will be people who are interested in other positions, and they will show their aspirations when the time is right.
I ask that because, I mean, as you have also agreed to seeing them, there's now talk around getting a consensus candidate.
Why not? It's also part of the Constitution. Why not?
And
why not?
That's why
it makes it less, less contentious in the convention floor.
And that's
so, of course, naturally, leaders of the party would like to, gravitate towards consensus of some sort of. Yeah, so why not? If consensus is the way out, fine. But consensus is only when everybody agrees. When there is a dissenting voice, then he has the right to go and show his aspiration on the floor of the convention. There's nothing wrong with that.
There are those who predict, and I think that they have good reason to, that a lot of these cases could end up in court. Do you fear that?
We will try as much as possible to rein in bona fide members of the party, not to take certain cases to court. You see, you can never be able to predict what people would do, if certain things do not go their way, or if they perceive that certain things are not going their way. But, the neck of the party is going to sit down, it's going to have a meeting, it's going to clear out, set out the rules and guidelines for this convention. And I do not foresee the kinds of problems that a lot of people are talking about. God willing, we're going to have a very smooth convention, and then we'll get over it.
Well, he's certainly very optimistic, as politicians usually are, but we'll take a break now, and we'll come back and find out just how strong that optimism is in the face of the challenges that could be coming forth. In just a moment, please stay with us. Ismail Ahmed, National Youth Leader of the All Progressives Congress and also member of the Caretaker Committee of the All Progressives Congress, is still here with us in our studio, and I'm sure that my colleagues are now standing by with their questions. Gentlemen.
Yeah, Ismail, morning and happy new year to you as well. You talked about other people interested in different positions. What about you? Are you vying for anyone?
I'm not allowed by law to say anything. I'm still a member of the caretaker committee, and for now I cannot express any interest.
Okay, we'll talk in camera about that one, not later.
All right, and just to clear this one out, I recall you had an interview with my colleague, Shenwa Kimbaloyi, on Politics Today. That was in October last year. And, I mean, it was about the convention and a lot of other issues within your party. And you were asked if the convention will hold before the end of the year. That was last year, 2021. And you said, absolutely. In fact, you said that twice. So you probably understand why a lot of people are skeptical about the coming convention, seeing that, I mean, from you had said that will hold last year before the end of the year. The year ended, it didn't hold. Now there's a date for February. But if you could just tell us what changed, what happened between the point where you said absolutely and the point when it didn't happen.
Well, I think last year, December, there was a lot of, there was no, I said that, I made that statement. There was no public statement from the party at that time that it was going to hold in December. But I knew that internally in the party we had agreed that it was going to hold in December. And then at that, I think at the meeting of the governors, the issues of having it on the 18th of December came up, and a lot of governors, especially from the southern part of the country, talked about the non-availability of a lot of party members from the southern or from the Christian faith, who take a lot of, from the 15th of December was more or less like a holiday season for them. It was the festive period. People had to travel, there was a lot of back and forth, and then I think it was stepped down. And then it was agreed that January was looked into, and January was also a year that, was also a month that halfway through was still going to be a lot of holidays, and then we have, you know, the Ekiti primaries coming up later this month, and then February was agreed on, and then the recommendation was taken to the president, which you all know that he came up. So yeah, I was absolutely sure in October that we're going to have it in December, but of course, you know, this is politics, is dynamic. But right now, I'm pretty confident that it will happen next month. The preparations have begun. In our last year's last meeting we had last year, we had agreed to put some structures in place. We have set up the finance committee to come up with the budget for the convention, and the subcommittees would also be set up. We are waiting for the reports of the reconciliation committee that have gone out, led by Senator Abdullah Adamu. So a lot of things have been put in place. So I'm pretty confident that we'll hold our convention this time.
In February, I just hope maybe Valentine's will not come and be a reason. Okay, so I'm hoping that, I mean, when you reference some of those events, I hope Valentine's will not come and you say, okay, you know what, people will be busy with their spouses and all, so maybe we should move
Valentine is not a national holiday. It might be a holiday to you because you are young, but it's not a national holiday. Christmas is certainly, yes.
Shots fired. Well, it's for lovers, essentially, so I imagine you're one, but let me take this to my colleague, Ayo, to continue the conversation.
Well, I guess that's one of the issues that's giving a number of people concern. So, Mr. Essien, looking forward to this convention and hoping, as Kade said, Valentine doesn't come to truncate it. What are the issues that you consider critical that the convention has to address? Otherwise, it jeopardizes the chances of the APC.
Basically, the convention will do, and Barrister Ismail Ahmed is also a member of the convention, the caretaker committee, and so I mean that's an authority. So the convention will basically put a crystal on all the work that's been done at various levels. Don't forget that the caretaker committee was set up, was given its powers by NEC. And like he said, we anticipate that the National Executive Committee will meet to probably call this convention. That's, I think, the route that will happen, because The caretaker committee has basically done a very great job. And it was basically, its key function was to plan the convention. Now, once that is done, it's probably, I think it will revert to NEC, and then NEC will now basically call a convention. So I think that's what Vice Ismail said. And once that is done, as the highest organ of the party, I think we will be able to say that all the resolutions that have been formulated so far, all the negotiations, all the trade-offs will be crystallized, and then the party will be able to move from that point to preparing for the next step, which is getting ready for probably the next elections. So I think all the work that's gone down will get it crystallized at the convention.
Interesting days to come. Essien Vincent, a legal practitioner, a member of the APC, thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Med, you are a member of the BOT, and definitely a lot of work, as Mr. Essien has said, has gone into getting ready for this time around, for this convention this time around. And all things being equal, at the end of the day, every political party is about people, its members, and the nation they want to govern. For you, what are the issues critical for members of the APC that will attend the convention have to bear in mind? I'm saying that because at the end, you know, many times we talk about these conventions and it's always about interests of people and all of that. Not forgetting the fact that at the end of the day, the job of the convention is to pilot the affairs of the party, being the one in the ruling, being the one governing the nation at the moment for the interest of 200 million Nigerians. So for you, what are those critical issues that members of the party coming for the convention must bear in mind?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. First of all, we have done some sort of constitutional amendment to our constitution, to the party's constitution, which is also going to be laid out in this convention. By the constitution of the party, we need to, advertise the amendments 14 days to the convention in some of the national dailies so that people could raise some observations or whatever it is that they have. So I think the ground norm of the party itself, which is the constitution, is one of the critical aspects of this convention. And I think members must be aware that there are serious and far-reaching improvements in terms of the constitution of the party that has given the party life, as far as I'm concerned, to make it an institution rather than just a platform for people to join and run for political offices whenever they need be. I think it is more of an institution, a policy hub, an institute, of complementing government in terms of policies and implementation, both in formulation and implementation of policies. And I think that is very important for delegates that are coming to the convention to be aware of that, to know the responsibility that they have. It's not just about electing national officers, but it's also about amendment of the Constitution and what those amendments entail and what they mean. That's on the one hand. On the second hand, another critical issue is the management of the party itself, or what a party should be and how it should be managed. I think the APC has been lucky in the sense that it has always been known to be a progressive left-center party, a party for the people. Now we are approaching a transitional election where for our first president will be exiting office in a couple of, a year and a month and some months. And not only is he just a president, but he is probably the most popular politician since the re-advent of democracy, and who has contributed more than 50 to 60% of the voting bloc that gave us victory in 2015 as an individual. Now, if you are transitioning away from that kind of individual, I think the management of the party becomes even more critical, even more important. that you have people who are manning the affairs of the party, who understand the situation we're in, who understand that the party needs to be made attractive to younger people, to newer people, to be able to come in and participate and be part of this process. And that can only happen when we have very effective managers of the party who understand what we're doing. So my hope is that the delegates and members of the party who are going to come to this convention or who are going to be watching from home realize how important, the leadership of the party will be in this transition election, how important the management of the party would be, and how important all the rules and guidelines and ultimately the constitution of the party is. And everybody should focus on that, and we should give it all the necessary attention to get the best out of it.
You raised that concern as well in another fora, and you said, look, the party needs to understand that. We don't have 10 million votes or over 10 million votes that will come to us again. And as such, the party needs to get their acts right. So from what you've seen now, heading into the convention and all the politicking going on around, have you seen any sign to encourage you as though they seem to have gotten the message that you have seen, asking that, look, we all need to pull together to ensure that the party doesn't lose it? Are you encouraged by anything whatsoever?
Yes, I'll tell you I'm encouraged by especially the registration we had in 2021. We had more people than we registered in 2013. And there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement from the base of the party in joining the party. So I have seen that kind of gave me an encouragement. But I wanted the party, and I think they're listening, I think because I've spoken to leaders of the party at various levels, and to see that, look, we need to have, the party really needs to have an attractive face now, especially, like I mentioned, and like you rightly pointed out, that we are going to be transitioning away from a very popular president, within the party folk. We need to have, something that really attracts people, that will come to the party for the party's sake, not now again relying on individual popularity, as was the case in 2015. We relied a lot on some of our leaders, our individuals leaders' popularity and their coattails to be able to get to where we are. But now the party have to transform itself into the behemoth that it now needs to attract its own people based on its own character. And I think the leadership is listening. The registration of the party in early 2021 gave me an encouragement, but the convention, I think, will deliver a lot more encouragement to a lot of younger people who would feel that, okay, we're looking at it from where we are, we can see that this party is open, really, for people like us to get in. It's not, there are no owners somewhere that would decide our fate regardless of our contribution.
I mean, let's talk about that popularity which you've referenced. And you said that, the president brought on board, large voting bloc. He said about 50 or 60%, really, and then the party perhaps had to pull together to augment the rest. And I recall that in the build-up to the 2015 general election, you were right here in the studio in Lagos, and you talked about some of the things that you were not happy with that administration, the PDP administration. And one of the things you mentioned was, the dollar rate. You said that it's 230, 250 today, when at the point that the government took power, it was 119. And this was March 2015. So that voting bloc that you have, that popularity, based on now the performance of this administration in power, you know what the dollar is right now, over 500. That's more than 300 what it was at that point. Do you still think that those people, those, 10 million, 14 million people, will still be lining up behind your party based on the performance?
Yes, I think so. I think more numbers would come. And let me tell you the reason. Some of these so that we don't have false equivalency of comparison, right? You know, when we talked about this in March 2015, how much was the barrel of crude oil going, you know, in the international market? $100, $150, $140. What's an average of $120 to $140? You know, so we had a lot of money coming in, and there were like 2 million barrels a day of production in Nigeria. When we came in 2015, you know, by November or thereabout, or December, it nosedived to about $38. At some point, the production cost of barrel of crude was about $20, and we're selling it for what, $21, $25 to $30. So making a net profit of about $10. You know, so of course, and then we have infrastructural deficit. You know, and you have seen. And I'm sure you do your investigations very well. You know what was the, what do you call it? What was the budget for infrastructure? Say, for example, in 2015, you know, under the PDP administration. You know, it was what, 18 billion naira? When we came in, we started giving about 60 to 100 to 100 plus billion naira. And you know, our hardworking minister, Governor Fashola, Minister of Works and Housing, gives all this presentation whenever he is given an opportunity to speak about it. So we have seen how much we needed to be able to make up for the deficit in infrastructure, and how much money we were making when we came in. You know, unlucky as we were, but we had to deal with that because Nigerians were not going to listen to us about that. So something's got to give. It's either we keep subsidizing the dollar, you know, to keep it at the rate that makes importers and people who spend the dollar and you know, comfortable, or we could actually channel our monies into infrastructural development, social investment programs, taking it to the bottom of the pyramid. So I'm not going to sit down here and tell you that we can sing Kumbaya, that everything is all right, that that we've not had challenges in government. But I think when it is time for debate, to discern, not emotional headlines, to actually discern and take down these points bit by bit and break it down, I think we'll still have a winning argument, and we'll have a reason to go back to the people and say, hey, I know we are not where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. In terms of what we have gotten when we got into office, and what we have been able to achieve in terms of the physical infrastructure that you can see, and the social investment that we've been able to get into the hands of people. And I think people will be able to make that judgment ultimately.
Right. Clearly, we're not where we used to be, and I said that much. 230, 250 to $1 at that time. Now it's over 500. You also talked about,
but I give you, my
security.
Reasons why. I give you my.
So I'm just giving you the facts. Just a moment. So you talked about security then, saying people are dying. Just a look at the random headlines this morning. You see bandits kill 3, abduct 13, set ablaze tent in Kaduna, bandits herdsmen on rampage in Kaduna, Ondo, Plateau, kill 9, abduct 12. So that's regarding the security you talked about then. And yet again, I ask, the people which you say were behind you then, seeing this reality, are you really confident that they will want to vote you in again, seeing your antecedents in office?
Well, you keep making this argument as if our antecedents. Now, look, security makes me emotional, you know, and especially because now I don't want compartmentalizing this country, because now I'm from the Northwest. And I guess we're worse hit right now in terms of the security situation right now in the country. But I do know for a fact that the security agencies and the government in particular are doing all it can to make sure that we turn the tide. Security has greatly improved in the Northeast. It has reared its head, you know, very unfortunately, in some parts of the Northwest and the North Central. And it's a new, some sort of a new phenomena, different from the insurgency we fought in the northeast, that we have degraded to a level where people from Borno or Adamawa or Yobe would be telling you different stories right now. And so I understand the headlines, you know, are bad, especially when it comes to security. We're not going to sit down and say that it's okay, that everything is fine. But I do know that the government is doing all it can to make sure that we turn the tide in terms of security. So yeah, like I said, when you look at all the indices and the intention of the government to take care of this problem and what it has done, there has never been any president in this country, no government that has given the security agencies the resources and the backing and the stability, so to speak, that this president has given them. Maybe as a result of his experience or his pedigree as a former military officer. But whatever it is, he has given them all he can. So what needs to be done is a lot more recruitment in terms of officers and men, both in the military, in the police, and other paramilitary agencies. And then we as citizens joining hands and using local structures to be able to stem the tide of this very ugly trend. It's not something we're very happy about. It's not something that that we say does not concern us or that there's no problem. It is a major issue, but I know that everybody's hand is on deck to make sure that we turn this tide around. But like I said, when it comes to the issue of the party itself selling its manifesto or selling its ideas based on what it has done in the last 8 years, I think we can have an argument, we can make a case, and we can break it down and for people to see what is in there. So I'm absolutely confident that we will be able to make that case very well.
Well, I guess people will be waiting to see what sort of argument you're going to be making, especially with regards to your acknowledgement with security. And you say you don't want to compartmentalize the country. It's one country, and I think that we all should see it that way. But we'll wait to see how you will react to how the opposition will raise that with you when eventually we get to either a debate or the campaigns proper. How do you intend to respond to what the opposition will certainly raise about security?
Well, you want me to get to the debate now alone?
Yes, because the APC certainly raised that against them in the 2015 elections.
Yes, why not? So let us wait till they raise that. Like I said, I've given you some of the statistics of, I know for a fact how much the government has spent on security and how much encouragement and stability the president has been able to provide to the security agencies, all the security agencies.
I know,
but like I said,
at the end of the day,
it's not a switch. It's not something that you can just
flick it out. I was just going to say that you and I know that at the end of the day, what counts is results.
And we are going to get it. Be hopeful. You are Nigerian. I know what the military are doing, especially in the Northwest right now as we speak, in terms of flushing out the bandits. We have a dry season right now. From now to maybe April, they can move into the forest and they can do a lot of damage. But, you know, security is comprehensive. It's not just about boots on the grounds and fighting equipment. It has to be, the local community have to be involved. The economy has to be improved. There's a lot of advocacy that needs to be done, which it's all being tackled at different areas. And we also, as young people, we are trying to go out and tell people the need for them to get all their hands on deck to be able to stem this tide, because ultimately it's all our security we are talking about. So I can tell you for free that you will see the results, and by the time the debate comes, inshallah, it's going to have a very good result in terms of fighting insecurity.
Well, we'll see how things eventually pan out for the APC as they go into their convention in February. You've heard from him. He's a part of the organizing, the caretaker committee of the All Progressives Congress now. And this time he believes it's more definitive that the convention will hold in February. Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning. Ismail Ahmed, member of the APC BOT. Well, never mind BOT, the Board of Trustees. But let's just say national leader of the youth arm of the All Progressives Congress, and also a member of the APC Caretaker Committee. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sunrise Daily. We'll take a break at this point and we'll be switching to that game. I don't know if you saw it, but let us see what you make of it. Give us your feedback as well with some of the lines that will be displayed on the screen shortly. But do stay tuned and hear what bookmakers have to say about it.
Yeah, it's time to talk about the Super Eagles victory, and Ida Peterside joins us to discuss that. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. It appears as though that smile on your face was the kind that must have been yesterday while you were watching the match, I reckon.
I'm not sure I've smiled like this in years. You know, it's not happened to us in years. And what a day we had yesterday against all expectations. A lot of people have written us off, written off the national team. To see us win the way we did yesterday, again, against Egypt. Egypt have not lost a game in the last 24 matches they've played. So what a day, what a day. Just unbelievable. We're so excited.
You know, it was even such that while many were watching, they were still, it was kind of mixed feeling. Yes, very excited, but still in disbelief. Is this Super Eagles playing Egypt? How many times champions this way? Or like, wow, long may this feeling continue. Did you feel that way at all?
Yeah, I did. You know, because of what Ganadro has done to us. You know, Ganadro damaged our football, damaged our belief. You know, we were playing draws with teams like Sierra Leone, Car. We were not winning at home. We led 4-0 against Sierra Leone. You know, so we began to lose confidence in ourselves and in the team. You know, when the game started, we're all okay. Let's just score the first goal, then we'll begin to struggle. That's what we're used to doing. But what we saw yesterday was just unbelievable, you know, brought back joy to hearts and minds of people. You know, I've been receiving phone calls like I played the game. You know, people say Nigeria is back, as if we went somewhere all this year. Unbelievable. And then I spoke to the coach yesterday, fortunately for me. Spoke to the coach yesterday after the game. You know, he just couldn't say what. He was so excited himself.
Talk to us about that part. What is his mindset? Because, yeah, he had this post-match brief, but, of course, that didn't give us any window into his mindset. Because when he came in, people were not exactly sure. They thought, well, yeah, he's an ex-international, very good defender. He's coached before, but it's been a while. Is he rusty? What do we expect? What did you glean from, you know, when you spoke with him?
I've spoken to him. Again, there was a lot of consultation done before the appointment. And fortunately for me, I was one of those that they spoke to. And there was no choice. You know, it was between himself and Amunike, who was going to coach the team. And he was closer to the team. All through in camp, he's always with the team. But every technical director in Nigeria is not respected. I say to the shame of the NFF, never respected. They just, you know, put in an office somewhere just to have a name. You know, the dependence has always been on a foreign coach. But there was no alternative, and he was the only person closer to the team 1 month to the AFCON. And when they brought him in, fortunately for me, I spoke to him, and all I just said to him was, let the team play well. No one is expecting you to do well. No one is expecting us to win the trophy, but let us play well. You know, when we were playing years ago, Shemali will agree with me, you know, there was a time Nigeria would play, you would hear, This was our signature tune to let the team know you are playing well. And once we started doing that, in the last 5 years, there's no game we have played. No game, I still say, no game we have played that the supporters club has been able to say, like I say, it's a signature tune that this team is playing well. That was what clipped us. So yesterday when we began to play, people were like, okay, what are we saying? The same players, different approach. You know, credit must go to him and his team. What they did yesterday was, I think they just worked on the psychic of the players. I just told them, there's this thing we used to say when we used to play, is that we are Nigeria. That one word, we are Nigeria. That one word changed everything, changed absolutely everything. The belief that we were superpowers, we were unbeatable, there was something about us. For the first time in 5 years, yesterday, we felt that way. That's just the difference. I saw the show when you started, the laughter in the studio, the joy. I'm not sure. We've had too many stories in Nigeria that for the first time, Nigerians were just happy. I'm not sure if it's been years since Nigerians were happy.
You'll have to forgive me, Mr. Peterside. I'm one of those people whose heart is connected directly to the Super Eagles, and I couldn't risk that heart being broken by having more oohs than A's, you know, which I'm used to. But, you know, looking at, you know, the comments and then the highlights, it looked like, I mean, at some point I'm wondering, wait a minute, this cannot be the same Super Eagles that I have been afraid, you know, to watch over time. But from what are some of those things? We'll talk about the administration to the shame of the NFF that you said earlier. We'll talk about that a little later. But speaking to the strategy that the team approached that match with, what are the takeaways for you that you believe we must sustain as a nature, not just a happenstance?
I think it's the belief that we are Nigeria. I still say the word again. There is something about us. You know, people don't like us because of our arrogance. They don't like us because of our confidence. And everything we do as Nigerians, this is the key to our success as Nigerians, being in diaspora, being at home, is that there's this confidence about being Nigerian, and you hear them say, Nigeria did the carry last. I think that was what came into bear yesterday. So somebody would have told them, you are Nigerians. You are a Nigerian, go and be a Nigerian. And it just changed everything. Okay, there was an interview, I don't know if you guys had it. There was an interview done, the pre-match interview. They spoke to Ahmed Musa, who is obviously officially the captain. They spoke to Ahmed Musa and mentioned Salah. Once they mentioned Salah, Ahmed Musa said that our left winger that plays in Villarreal, trying to get his name now, he said in the conference, he said he's better than Salah. So I know people talk about Salah, but our left winger is better than Salah. Imagine that mindset. So you're sending a message. It's not all about Salah. We are Nigerians. We have what you have. We have Simon. We have this. We have this. So, and I think it messed up the mind of Salah, because in the interview he said, I'm not going to discuss this. I respect Musa and his opinion. And it showed yesterday that Nigeria became Nigeria. All we need to do to win this tournament, maybe that's too far, is just to believe. Because the players we have, you know, the team we have, Ganadra messed up our national team. I'm sorry to say this, I keep saying it. I was in Russia during the World Cup and I cried. I almost had a heart attack because I said, this thing this man is doing here, I can do better, even though I'm not a professional coach. I think our confidence, what he did yesterday, and I spoke to him, like I said, he said, you told me that the players should play well, and I told them, Nigerians expect you to play well. And once we decided to play well, we're going to, everyone is already rating us as tournament favorites, just in one game.
Yes, I love that, absolutely. Tournament favorites. It's interesting we didn't go into the tournament as tournament favorites, but it's amazing what one match can do. But let me quickly jump ahead, because you talked about the era of the previous coach. Now we have a new coach, and we're seeing what Austin Eguavoen is doing. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but just to know your thinking regarding that. Would we still have a need for a new coach, seeing what the current coach, as it were, is doing?
It's too early. It's too early to decide that. You know, Nigerians were like yo-yo. If we play against Sudan and Sudan shocks us, the people will say, "Oh, but what should take the next plane and go back to Benin?" That's how we are in Nigeria. So I think it's too early. Let's see how the team progresses. if we get to the semi-finals, again, the good thing about it, Pesero has not signed his contract. I can say that. He's been appointed as the coach. They expect him to come to Nigeria to sign the contract to officially be the national team coach. If Eguavoen gets to the semi-finals playing like this, we will stop the plane from taking off from Portugal. That's just what I need to say. The plane will not take off. That plane carrying Pesero will not take off from Portugal. We will stop it. Okay, so it's too early to judge. Let the players continue. Let them not lose their concentration. Let them play against Sudan. The next game is Sudan. Once we win Sudan, we've qualified for the next stage. We'll take it from there. I think it's too early.
Yeah, and I think I like how Austin Eguavoen spoke about it when he says, look, every match is a final for us. We will take every match like that. I think that's one of the best approach you can ever have. Don't look at it. I think he might be learning from their own experience while he was in the World Cup and in the team. They were looking ahead of, I think it was Denmark. And so hopefully we would have learned from that. But talk about the team dynamic. Because looking at that team, you just thought, whoa. We were just playing good, but not breaking down. How are they even connected? Because, yes, we saw that Didi was there. I think he just held on, which allowed Aribo to help link up between Awoniyi, Iheanacho, Chukwueze. So talk about the dynamics and what you saw, how fluid the team eventually became. What made them tick?
I think Aribo changed. Aribo was my man of the game. I know a lot of people say Simon played well, but we've never had that holding and connecting player. We've lacked it. You know, we've had Didi, but Didi's not been able to supply the balls to the forward line. Aribo came yesterday, you know, very slicky guy, and he was able to hold the ball. He was able to spray those passes, you know, and Didi did well defending behind him. I think that's where it was. And we went back to the original wing play. Okay, in the whole world, nobody plays wing play anymore. Even if you play wing play, you play with one. Even in the Premiership, you see they will move one player to the left or move one player to the right. But the confusion yesterday was that we were playing Chukwueze. We were playing Chukwueze on the right and Simon on the left. And they were supposed to be the other way. So we had two wingers, and it's not what is played anymore. Now, what would happen is that Salah would go to one part of the pitch, which is the right side, and stay. But they brought Chukwueze there. Now, he expected somebody to be on him. He expected somebody to mark him. But with the Chukwueze they brought there, it's an attacker, which forced Salah to come and defend. He doesn't defend, he just stays. So when they brought these two wingers that could, you know, bomb those two wings, Salah needed to help his team. So he would always come back and defend. And once he comes to defend, a ball is put behind, he can run. You know, so his first shot was 67 minutes with the goalkeeper saving. For Salah, 67 minutes was his first shot. And I think that was what it was, a massive tactical move that they could not understand. And they had Umahi, again, great play from him. Big, strong, natural striker. Big Iheanacho just played off him, played behind him. Large guy, this guy is a King Kong. And so he could muscle, look at him there. He could just muscle the Egyptian defense and they couldn't move forward. What the Egyptians do, they pass the ball and you see the holding midfielder join the attack. They couldn't yesterday because of Umahi. So in the tactic, they got it so right. We're praising them. We want to see what they do with minnows like Sudan. That is where you'll be exposed. If a minnow comes down, they will get relaxed, and the Sudan now gets, you know, motivated. They're going to draw. Let's go play the Super Eagles. That's where we want to see how they're going to handle it.
And speaking of that match against Sudan, you know, while we're celebrating and all, Sudan is watching our match. They're looking at those areas, those loopholes per se. It's just 3 days to that match. So, yes, we know what we did right, but what about the things we probably can improve upon? Because, I mean, I saw Moses Simon trying to connect. I mean, all the dribbles, but still trying to connect. It proved a bit challenging. Chukwueze on the other side, too, looked like there were a few challenges there. So, in addition to those ones, what are those areas we need to improve upon?
Again, you're so right. I didn't know you know football that much. You know, but I think they carried the ball for too long. You know, they carried the ball for too long. We saw Simon, sometimes Simon should have squared the ball. Instead of squaring the ball, he went for the kill. We saw Ejuke too, he did that twice. You know, sometimes the players need to be patient enough to raise up their head and see what next to do. Our formation yesterday was absolutely right. Like I said, Sudan are, forgive me the word, almost like non-entities. We don't know them. We don't know any of their players. This is where the challenge comes. How do you plan? Do you plan with the opposition or do you plan your own game plan? This is where we will see a reverse tactics. Is he going to play off Sudan's game we saw yesterday, or is he going to say, we are Super Eagles, which is what the big teams do. The big teams hardly plan based on the opponent. They plan based on their potential of what they're able to do. So we're hoping that everyone will say, we are Nigeria. Let's go and win this game. As simple as that, tactics, formation will come depending on how the game goes. If 10 minutes you score one goal, second, 20 minutes you score the second goal, everything changes. The players will now more relaxed and just begin to play the African style.
Well, Markwe also knows football,
yep.
So she's got some questions for you as well. Markwe?
I hope that these questions are received well. But, you know, speaking of the energy, which the coach did say, and a lot of people said they did feel the energy on the pitch yesterday from even the supporters. I'm wondering what you make of us being able to sustain it. If we're going to be playing every match like a final, it means that we need to keep up our energy. And then there are questions as to our substitute players. Do we have enough to be able to sustain the tempo? And if one of our, players is down, do we have, people playing in key positions to be able to sustain the tempo of the game which we've started?
Yes, I think so. You see, the rules just changed with this tournament. What they've done, they allowed 28 players to be registered instead of the normal 23 players. So they added 5 more players because of the COVID. And the changes have been increased from the original 3 to 4 players that can be replaced. We saw what happened yesterday. Omera got injured while the replacement. You know, we still have a lot of young guys on the bench. This is the beauty of this team. There are players we've not heard of. There are players like the young man playing in South Africa for Pirates. He's an unbelievable defender. You know, he's one of the top in Africa. We didn't see him, Olisenda, we didn't see him play yesterday. I think we do have. Every tournament is called the 6-match tournament. That's what you call it. They call it a 6-match tournament. Now, you should be able to play 6 matches. Now, those 6 matches takes you to the cup. So why wouldn't you? These are professionals. So the first 3 games from the group stage, you get into the 16, you get into the quarterfinals, you get to the semifinals, you are there already. So they should be able to sustain. They should be. And what you do, you try to win the second game because they won the first game. Now, once you win the second game, you've qualified. What you do, you rest your players. You rest your top players, or you just give them 15 minutes, 10 minutes, just to limber off. But you need to win the second game. The third game is now almost a formality. You rest players so that the players can have more energy to play in the last 16. So
Oh no, it looks like he's frozen now. That's
the momentum will be there.
Not keeping up the energy with which it started. But I think basically the question there has been answered. One thing we cannot forget, okay, I understand that Mr. Pitterside is back, but, and I think you already answered sufficiently the question which I was asking you. But one thing, I mean, I'm sure it stands out for a lot of women, is the aesthetics. First, the jersey of the Super Eagles. And I know that we sometimes associate lock with the color of the jersey which they pick. I do not know if you have anything to say about that, but they certainly did look good in olive green.
Yeah, well, it's our green. Our green is always a big-time jersey. If we were playing, we have the white and we have the green. You know, most times, every time Nigeria played with white, they say we never win games. And so you will see the sequence will be mostly they will use the green jerseys, but it depends on the groupings too. If you play a team that uses white and you are playing away, you know, that's the law. If you meet a team that is playing at home and you're using they're using a white jersey, automatically you must change. You know, but if you're playing at home, then you have the first right to use the jersey you prefer. The green won Egypt, so we stick to the green.
All right, nice one. But, you know, looking at that team as well, I know you spoke about resting the main players, but two things. First is, when the changes were made, it didn't appear as though that bench was, you know, as strong as the game started. Well, who knows? Maybe it might be a little different when the next game comes on because, I mean, Ajuke was excellent. It was electric. And then in addition to that, also respond to keeping. That's your expertise. How good can Okoye be? What kind of confidence do you see him transmitting to the team covering from behind?
And we saw him make one save, and that's how bad the Egyptians, how we made them look bad, because he only made one save. He used his leg to. He's a big lad, you know. He's about 6'4". That's how large he is, and he's the #1 goalkeeper. For him to have signed for Watford from Rotterdam, it means that there is something about him. The games will come to expose him. You know, one of the things that I didn't like too well about him yesterday is that ability to come and deal with those crosses. And I think that is his biggest challenge. Ozoho is better in dealing with crosses than Okoye, but sometimes it's about luck. You know, there are games you will play and you will not save a goal because there's an aura. I was a goalkeeper, that's what they say. You know, this goalkeeper tracks balls or this goalkeeper repels balls. So yesterday, we think he repelled some and he did not concede a goal. Every goalkeeper's greatest desire is, we call it the zero, the clean sheet. We got one yesterday, and as more as you keep getting clean sheets, you are looked at as a great goalkeeper.
Well, something you said earlier that I don't think we should leave without talking about, and that's the NFF. And you said to the shame of the NFF. I don't know what you mean by that. You may want to speak to that. But speak to what needs to be done or not done to ensure that the energy with which the Super Eagles started is sustained. The NFF, I mean.
Well, the NFF story is legendary. You know, the man Pinnick, for me, has done well. He's done well as an individual. He has the mind of a businessman. You know, but his flaws will be, a lot of people say he doesn't carry people along. He takes he takes decisions on himself alone. But the thing about football is you win games. Once you win games, people forget your secrecies or your faults. The football is just bigger than the Super Eagles. There has to be a trickle down. There has to be a trickle down to the league, to the local levels, which is where people are complaining. A lot of complaining is that there is nothing to show, especially in the local league. There is nothing to show in development. You see, all the players we have except the goalkeeper, the fourth goalkeeper plays in the local league. It's unacceptable. You know, we need to make the league competitive enough for people to come back to the stadiums. You know, people have said television is destroying the games, but no. If it's viable, if the match is local league games. I went to watch a game. I'm in Port Harcourt as I speak to you. I'm on holiday, and I went to watch Sunshine Stars and Rivers United. We were not up to 300 people in the stadium, and it's so painful to see that. What do we do? Now it has to rest on the NFF to say, what are we not doing right? Let's bring people back to the stadium. Let's go back to development. Let's begin to go back to grassroots. We've not done that. We've not done that. I think we must go back and say, in a year, we've been able to produce 6, 7 under 17s, under 20s, and the local league is producing people to the national team. We've not done that. I think when we begin to do that, then we will say there's a lot of changes.
Well, it's a 6-match final, so this is our own first part of the analysis of the first final. So we're hoping and looking forward to going all the way to the end, and of course, hopefully that will have you on all through. Thank you very much indeed for your perspective this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we do have some mails that came through, Markwe.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Yes, the very first one is from Henry Ewunonu talking about Super Eagles at the AFCON 2022. Congratulations, Nigeria, on that impressive performance yesterday. Though winning is all that matters in a football match, a deeper look at the post-match statistics reveals that we didn't shoot at the opponent's goal mouth severally, and we also committed more fouls. We need to win this tournament, so all hands must be on deck to achieve this. Ride on Super Eagles that have started soaring again.
All right, well, Festus talks about politics. He says, truth is that APC has many vested interests holding the party back. The absolute summit of the ambitious of those currently leading the party is to keep control of the party. That's why they can't hold their national convention. APC leaders must understand that the party has no hope of participating in 2023 elections if they don't put their house in order. A word is enough for the wise.
Well, John Ojikutu takes it back to, the recent declaration we saw from the APC national leader, saying, right from Abiola's time, we have been told by those in control of the votes that the presidency is not for the high spitters. I have known from Professor Yobari's lecture since 1988 that these two do not belong to the class of Balewa, Shagari, Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, and Buhari. Let Tinubu find out what or who brought Falaye out against Obasanjo and how Obasanjo from prison was preferred to Ekweme. The more you look, the more you see. Okay, that's new.
Professor Nakina is talking about leadership. We need leaders that are not jolted by the enormous powers of the office, but leaders with the wherewithal to enact policies needed to exhume Nigeria from economic doldrums and the mire of endemic poverty and corruption.
And famous Timilehin has this one saying Senator Bola Tinubu's declaration should not cause any jitters among other contestants. Candidates, well, they're not candidates until their party says so, should be valued by their antecedents and not by names. The most important thing here is Nigerians should open their eyes wide to make the right choice. Well, that's from famous Timilehin. We certainly intend to keep open a discussion on leadership and the sort of leader that Nigeria needs at this point in time. We thank you so much for watching this morning and for sending in your feedback as well. I'm Maokbe Ogun Yusuf.
Again, congratulations to Super Eagles and to all Nigerians. Africa is green, right? I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Am I Amakide? Have a wonderful day.
Green, I sure be-ish. Well, yeah, I'm Chamberlain. Goodbye.